Welcome back here to recap. 2 Weeks' Notice is a romantic comedy where Lucy Kelson, a brilliant lawyer, works for billionaire developer George Wade, only to realize her life is consumed by his demands. Beyond the humor and romance, the movie teaches key life and business lessons. Know your worth, set boundaries, and don't trade passion for paycheck, no matter how many millions are on the table. George, with his money-driven mindset, learns that relationships and integrity are more valuable than profits, while Lucy discovers balance between career and personal happiness. It's a reminder that true success blends both heart and business sense. Lucy Kelson is portrayed as a sharp, principled, and hardworking attorney who dedicates her career to serving the public interest. With expertise in areas such as historic preservation, environmental protection, and providing free legal services for those who cannot afford them, she represents a deep commitment to fairness, social responsibility, and safeguarding community values. Her life revolves around making a difference and using her knowledge of the law as a tool to protect both people and the environment. On the opposite end of the spectrum stands George Wade, a wealthy property developer who embodies charm and confidence, but often lacks maturity and foresight. Known for his extravagant lifestyle, reliance on others to solve his problems, and constant pursuit of pleasure, he symbolizes the world of privilege and excess. While outwardly successful, his dependence on others highlights an inner emptiness and lack of discipline. When Lucy and George's worlds collide, their differences create both conflict and opportunity. Lucy challenges George's careless approach to life, while George gradually exposes Lucy to new perspectives beyond her rigid dedication to duty. Their contrasting personalities reflect a clash between social responsibility and material ambition, ultimately pointing toward the possibility of growth through balance. Life lesson: Lucy Kelson's story teaches that living with purpose means valuing people and principles over shallow pleasures. While George chases vanity and temporary thrills, Lucy proves that integrity, compassion, and standing up for what you believe in create a more fulfilling life. True happiness doesn't come from luxury or status, but from making a difference in the lives of others. Business and money lesson: George Wade's careless wealth, tied to billion-dollar real estate deals, shows how chasing money without vision or ethics can leave you empty. Business is not only about profit, but about building lasting impact. Investing in people, communities, and sustainable projects creates value far beyond the billions in one's bank account. It builds reputation, trust, and long-term success. Lucy reconnects with George when she discovers he plans to redevelop the Coney Island Community Center, a place deeply tied to her childhood memories. Recognizing the center's importance to the neighborhood, she confronts him, determined to protect it. George, impressed by Lucy's intelligence and drive, and learning she graduated from a top law school, offers her a position as his chief legal advisor, replacing his outgoing counsel. Despite their differing perspectives on real estate development, Lucy considers the opportunity carefully. George's promise to allocate funds for community initiatives and support projects that preserve local spaces aligns with her values. She realizes that through this role, she can influence his decisions from the inside, promoting responsible development while safeguarding the center. Ultimately, Lucy accepts the position, motivated by the chance to balance her professional growth with her commitment to preserving her community's heritage and fostering positive social impact. Life lesson: sometimes life requires compromise. Lucy chose to work with someone whose values didn't fully align with hers because the greater good was at stake. Protecting her community center meant more than standing firm in opposition. The lesson here is that life isn't always about fighting every battle. It's about picking the ones that matter most and finding balance between principles and practicality. Business and money lesson: George's offer highlights the strategic use of incentives in business. By providing discretionary funding and promising to protect the community center, he secured Lucy's expertise despite their differing views. This shows how negotiation and leveraging resources, whether that's $100,000 in funding or long-term commitments, can attract the right talent. In business, money isn't just numbers. It's a tool for creating alignment and building partnerships that drive mutual benefit. Lucy realizes that George relies on her for guidance in nearly every part of his life. Reluctantly, she becomes his essential assistant, constantly fielding his calls and requests at all hours. When George interrupts her at a friend's wedding with another urgent question about what to wear, she decides to resign, giving him 2 weeks' notice. Lucy starts exploring other job opportunities, but George quietly contacts potential employers to prevent them from hiring her so he can keep her around. Eventually, he accepts that he can't control the situation, and Lucy agrees to help him find a replacement, unaware of how closely their lives have become intertwined. At a restaurant, their familiarity is evident as they move seamlessly through conversation while casually sharing each other's food, a habit formed from knowing one another so well. Life lesson: Lucy and George's story shows that true connection isn't always about romance at first sight, but about how people grow into each other's lives. Their habit of unconsciously sharing food and understanding one another's needs reflects how trust, patience, and consistency build deep relationships. In life, we sometimes undervalue the importance of boundaries and balance, but this story teaches that love often blossoms when we least expect it, especially when mutual respect and care grow over time. Business and money lesson: George's dependency on Lucy reveals the dangers of lacking self-reliance in leadership. Instead of empowering his assistant, he sabotages her career opportunities to protect his own convenience, which ultimately backfires. In business, trying to control others for short-term gain can cost far more in the long run, whether in reputation, productivity, or loyalty. A good leader invests in developing others and creating systems that function independently, which prevents unnecessary losses. For example, a company may lose millions if a single employee holds all the knowledge and suddenly leaves, showing that empowering and sharing responsibility is not just ethical, but financially wise. When June Carver arrives unannounced seeking a job, Lucy meets her but expresses concern that June lacks experience in the real estate field. George, however, is instantly drawn to June's energy and charm and seems eager to hire her immediately, overlooking Lucy's reservations. This sets off a growing tension, as Lucy begins to feel threatened by the newcomer and increasingly competitive with her potential replacement. Her jealousy is fueled further when George invites June to events and meetings that Lucy would normally attend, highlighting her sense of being sidelined. Meanwhile, Lucy discovers that the community center, which George had promised to protect, is actually slated for demolition. Determined to confront him, she goes to his hotel only to find George and June in a compromising situation during a playful game of strip chess. The next day, on her final day at work, Lucy reminds George of his broken promise and leaves, her frustration and disappointment palpable. Life lesson: Lucy's experience highlights how insecurity and jealousy can cloud judgment and damage relationships. Instead of focusing on her own strengths, she allowed competition with June to consume her, leading to frustration and disappointment. In life, it's important to value trust, honesty, and self-worth rather than letting emotions like envy dictate decisions. When promises are broken, as with George and the community center, it reminds us that integrity matters more than appearances. Protecting one's values and standing firm, even when it means walking away, preserves dignity and peace of mind. Business and money lesson: in business, George's choices reveal how personal attraction and favoritism can undermine professionalism and cost long-term credibility. By disregarding Lucy's valid concerns and mishandling the community center deal, he risked both reputation and trust. Broken promises in business often lead to lost partnerships, legal battles, or financial damage far greater than the short-term gain, sometimes costing millions. The key takeaway is that business decisions must prioritize fairness, transparency, and strategy over personal impulses. A reputation for reliability can be worth more than money itself, ensuring sustained growth rather than fleeting success. After Lucy leaves, George comes to understand that his time with her has shown him the importance of personal growth and keeping promises. As Lucy settles into her new role, she begins to feel the emptiness left by his absence and realizes how much she values their connection. Determined to make things right, George searches for her and shares that he intends to honor his commitments. Initially hesitant, Lucy eventually runs to meet him, and they openly express their love. Their journey culminates in a heartfelt wedding ceremony at a local community center, celebrated with close family and friends. Life lesson: George and Lucy's story shows that true growth comes from keeping promises and embracing change. Love requires humility, persistence, and the courage to admit mistakes. Just like George realized his time with Lucy had transformed him, we too must recognize the value of relationships and not let pride block reconciliation. Happiness isn't about perfection, but about learning, growing, and choosing each other despite setbacks. Business and money lesson. In business, George's turnaround mirrors the importance of accountability and follow-through. A broken promise can cost trust, which is more valuable than money. But honoring commitments builds credibility, the kind that creates long-term partnerships worth more than a quick deal. In fact, a strong reputation can bring in opportunities that no amount of $100,000 advertising budget could buy, proving that integrity in business is the real currency. The movie premiered in the US on December 20th, 2002, under the Warner Brothers banner. While it drew a mix of critical opinions, it turned into a solid box office success, earning about $199 million worldwide. Domestically, it debuted in second place, just behind The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and managed to stay within the top 10 for 5 consecutive weeks. Out of its total, roughly $93.3 million came from the US and Canadian markets, while international audiences contributed around $105.7 million, against a production budget of about $60 million. Thank you so much for watching.